welcome the founder, president, and CEO of the Center for Security Policy, Frank Gaffney.
Well, you Summiteers, it's great to be back. For two reasons. One is I have managed, through the grace of God and the great late and much lamented Bill Armstrong, the great still with us John Andrews, and the great and emerging not only Western but national conservative leader Jeff Hunt, to be unbroken in my record here at the Western Conservative Summits. The second reason I'm just thrilled to be back is that something very momentous happened to me personally here 2 years ago. As is my wont, I had the opportunity to talk a bit at that time about the threat from what I think is best described as Sharia supremacism, a toxic, totalitarian Islamic code that its adherents believe Allah has dictated must be imposed on the whole world through whatever means are necessary. I left the stage, went back, and suddenly two Coloradans were right there. And one of them was Father Andre Mahana, who cannot be with us today because he is ministering to his flock in his native Lebanon. But his partner at the time and my partner these days, Didi Logison, joined him with me to talk about the persecution of Christians and the imperative need to do something about it. Didi is joined by her youngest of 6 sons, doing her part for the cause. His name is Fred, and we're very glad to have him with us because we're going to share with you one of the things that early on in this effort came out of our shared interest in seeing if we could, in fact, help save the persecuted Christians. Because, as you may know, being way above average, this problem is of such a magnitude, such a gravity, that it is simply mind-boggling. By some estimates, 300 million Christians are suffering from persecution around the world today. And by, again, some estimates, as many as 245 million of them are suffering what has been characterized as severe persecution. That means torture. That means rape. That means enslavement. That means the banishment from their homes and the loss of their property. That means murder, sometimes on a genocidal scale. And yet, while the numbers involved are, if you think about it in historical terms, even more staggering than just those sheer facts would describe. Pol Pot, Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong combined didn't kill as many people as have now been put under severe persecution in our time, on our watch. This is intolerable, I believe, to all of us who care about freedom, religious freedom as a foundational one. And we must come together, ladies and gentlemen, to determine and do what we can. What can we do? Well, the first option, of course, is the obvious one. Pray for the persecuted Christians. And then there are many people, indeed, probably hundreds, if not thousands of groups and countless individuals who are in some cases at least, putting their lives on the line to try to ensure that the persecuted Christians around the world are given everything from water and food to medicine to Bibles to shelter and refuge. Those people need our help as well. We need as well to raise awareness about this problem. Again, you almost certainly are clued up about it, but if you went back to your neighborhood or to your place of work, how many of your friends and colleagues and family members, for that matter, would know that this disaster on an, again, unimaginable scale is taking place to people not that different from you and me? Probably not many. So raising awareness is crucial. Here at the Western Conservative Summit, and I want to again thank Jeff Hunt and this marvelous team, and of course my colleague Dee Dee Laugesen, at the western end of the exhibit hall there is something you must see. We call it our People of the Cross exhibit. You cannot fail to be moved by this, ladies and gentlemen, because it tells you in very explicit terms about the many places in the world, and this is just a sample, frankly, the many places and the many ways in which Christians are being persecuted. Please check it out. Check out with Dee Dee and the team that is supporting us, including Fred, what you can do to get your hands on these panels, these displays, and take them to places in your own communities, whether they're churches or community centers, places of business, or another venue, where you too can help us spread the word about what is happening to these Christians. We estimate that by some grace of God, again, 50,000 or so people in this country in some 10 states, many of them here in the West, have now seen this exhibit. That's not nearly enough, but it's a start. And with your help, it could be considerably more. But at the end of the day, the fact that there are 245 million Christians that are being persecuted severely today is the worst, because last year, according to Open Doors USA, the number was 30 million less. So the trend is in the wrong direction, so more must be done. We are trying, as an organization, Save the Persecuted Christians, with banners like this, which you can display as well outside of your churches or homes, or businesses, to do something additive to the praying, additive to the relief efforts, added to the awareness raising. What? To hold the persecutors accountable for what they're doing, to impose costs on them for what they are doing. To change, in other words, the calculations that obviously many of them operate under, that they can do this sort of thing to Christians worldwide with complete impunity. That must not be allowed to remain an operative presumption. Now, we've been working with the government. We have, I'm incredibly grateful to say, a president in Donald Trump, a vice president in Mike Pence, a secretary of state in Mike Pompeo, a national security advisor in John Bolton, and an ambassador at large for international religious freedom, Sam Brownback. Leaders of our country who are powerfully convicted about the need to do something about this. And yet it still is difficult to get government to hold persecutors in other countries' governments accountable. We're trying. Just this past month, we sponsored with friends in our Save the Persecuted Christians Coalition from Nigeria a magnificent delegation of persecuted Nigerian Christians who came and spoke to our leaders, both in the executive branch and in the legislative branch. They addressed the Heritage Foundation, a magnificent program. Look it up online. Also the media. And yet, at the end of the day, the effect of their visit was Mike Pence, the vice president, did summon his counterpart from Nigeria for what I call a come to Jesus meeting. But the next day or so, The embassy of Nigeria was denouncing our friends from Nigeria and saying there's nothing to it. So let me leave you with this thought. There's one other thing we believe we can do. And we started doing it 2 months ago now, with a letter to the enablers of the persecutors, firms like Squire Patton Boggs, a big law firm doing business in this city, among other places. Indeed, Dede Laugesen led a religious freedom rally at their office on Wednesday. Hold firms like Squire Patton Boggs accountable for representing communist China, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Cameroon, and the Palestinian Authority. They're on the wrong side. This ministerial meeting next week that Mike Pompeo is convening is a perfect opportunity to stand with the persecuted and against the persecutors. Join us in this fight. SaveThePersecutedChristians.org. God bless you all. Go forth and multiply. Thank you.